There comes a time in every believer's life when they forget who they are and whose they are. A time when the battles get so intense, the storm so violent, and the silence from heaven so loud that they begin to shrink. They start questioning their value, their purpose, their strength. But today I came with a divine assignment, not just to motivate you, but to awaken you, because heaven didn't create you to live timid. Heaven created you to walk in power, move in purpose, and stand in victory. You see, too many of us are walking around like spiritual beggars when God has already called us more than conquerors. Too many of us are sitting on gifts that were meant to shake nations. But let me tell you something today. Your power didn't come from your past. It came from the promise. You were built by the hands of God himself, breathed into with purpose, and filled with the same spirit that raised the dead. That means you're dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. And if you'll stay with me till the end of this message, I'm going to show you why. This is your moment to rise, to reclaim your calling, and to stop underestimating the power God placed inside of you. This isn't just a speech. It's a spiritual wake-up call. So lean in, because something in you is about to shift. You were not created by accident. You were not formed out of randomness or coincidence. You were creating the image of a mighty, holy, and sovereign God. The same God who spoke the universe into existence, who split the Red Sea, who raised the dead and conquered the grave. He formed you with his own hands, breathed his breath into your lungs, and placed his divine fingerprint on your soul. That means there's nothing ordinary about you. You're not weak, you're not worthless, and you're definitely not powerless. When God said, "Let us make man in our image," he wasn't talking about appearance. He was talking about essence, about spirit, about authority and purpose. You carry his nature. You have access to his mind. You possess his spirit. The same spirit that raised Christ from the dead now lives in you. And that power is not meant to sit dormant inside your heart. It was meant to shake the earth. The enemy wants you to believe you're just surviving, just barely getting by, just hoping to make it through the day. But that's not how kings and queens think. That's not how God's children move. You were designed to reign, to create, to lead, to build, and to speak with authority. When God formed you, he gave you dominion. Not domination over people, but dominion over your fears, your habits, your circumstances, and the attacks of the enemy. The devil doesn't fight people who are empty. He targets those who are full of something he's afraid of. So if you've been feeling pressure, if you've been under attack, it's not because you're weak, it's because you're powerful. It's because there's something inside you that hell is terrified of. That's why the enemy works overtime to make you doubt, to make you quit, to make you shrink back and sit silent when God is calling you to roar. You've got gifts inside of you that haven't even been unwrapped yet. You've got ideas, visions, and solutions that were planted by God before you were even born. He said, "Before I formed you in your mother's womb, I knew you." He didn't just know you would exist. He knew what you'd carry. He knew the battles you'd win. He knew the mountains you'd move. But the tragedy is, many people die with that power still locked inside them because they never believed they had it. They let life convince them they were small. They let failure whisper that they were done. But God says you are more than a conqueror. That doesn't mean you win easily. It means you keep going, you rise up, and you overcome. You don't need to ask for more power. You need to access what you already have. It's in you. The world is not waiting for another copy of someone else. It's waiting for you to finally believe that you carry the DNA of heaven and start walking like it. Fear and insecurity are the enemy's oldest and most effective weapons. From the very beginning, when Adam and Eve hid from God in the garden, fear has been used as a tool to separate humanity from the boldness of purpose. Insecurity crept in the moment they believed they were not enough. That same lie still whispers to God's people today. It tells you you're not qualified, not talented enough, not strong enough, not chosen. But if God called you, he has already qualified you. If he placed the dream in your heart, he's already equipped you with what it takes to carry it out. Yet so many believers remain trapped in the cage of fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of stepping out, fear of being seen, and fear of being wrong. This fear isn't just an emotion. It's a spiritual attack designed to keep you silent, still, and stuck. And security will make you hide your gifts under the blanket of perfectionism. waiting for the perfect moment that never comes. It will cause you to shrink when you are called to stand. But let me tell you something. Moses stuttered, yet God made him the mouthpiece of a nation. Gideon doubted, yet God called him a mighty warrior. David was overlooked, yet God made him king. The enemy saw their weaknesses and tried to magnify them, but God saw their destiny and refused to let fear win. And the same is true for you. You don't have to be fearless to obey God. You just have to be faithful. Fear will scream, but you walk anyway. Insecurity will whisper, but you speak anyway. Because God didn't give you a spirit of fear. He gave you power, love, and a sound mind. Every time you hesitate to move in obedience, every time you delay because you feel you're not enough, you're giving fear a foothold. But we weren't called to tiptoe through life. We were called to advance the kingdom. And the kingdom suffers when powerful men and women of God underestimate themselves and believe the lies of the enemy. The truth is, when God called you, he factored in your flaws. He knew your weaknesses, and still he said go. So when you hear that voice telling you you're not good enough, recognize that it's not your voice, and it's certainly not God's. It's the voice of the one who's afraid of what will happen when you finally realize who you are. You are not your fear. You are not your doubt. You are not your mistake. You are a child of the Most High, and your identity is not rooted in how you feel. It's rooted in who he is. And he is not insecure. He is not afraid. He is not confused. He is the great I am, and he lives in you. So the next time fear knocks, don't answer it with hesitation. Answer it with faith. Because when you step out in faith, even with trembling knees, heaven moves with you. Your gifts were never meant to be hidden, buried beneath shame, fear, or the opinions of others. God placed something unique and powerful inside of you. Not for decoration, but for demonstration. The word says, a man's gift makes room for him and brings him before great men. Proverbs 18:16. That means your gift is not optional, it's essential. But too many believers have allowed life to silence the very thing God intended to be their voice. You've allowed rejection to bury your calling. You've let past failure make you question whether you were ever truly chosen. But the truth is, your gift doesn't lose value just because someone else didn't recognize it. It doesn't shrink just because you feel small. And it doesn't disappear just because you've been quiet for a season. God doesn't give gifts without purpose, and he certainly doesn't give them without expecting a return. In the parable of the talents, Jesus tells the story of a servant who buried his gift out of fear. He thought hiding it would be safer than risking failure. But when the master returned, he wasn't impressed with safety. He was disappointed by disobedience. The lesson is clear. God would rather you risk it all in obedience than hide in the name of self-preservation. You weren't created to play it safe. You weren't called to live life in spiritual hiding. Your gift is supposed to challenge the atmosphere, break chains, heal wounds, stir faith, and give glory to God. But that can't happen if you keep it buried under insecurity or waiting for perfect conditions that will never come. The enemy wants your gift silent, unseen, and unused because he knows what happens when you walk in your anointing. He knows heaven backs a believer who refuses to let fear win. He knows that when your gift comes alive, strongholds break and people are set free. It's time to uncover what God placed in you. It's time to fan the flame, stir up the gift. Whether it's preaching, teaching, writing, serving, building, singing, leading, or encouraging, whatever it is, use it. Not for applause, but for assignment. Not for validation, but for victory. Because there are people connected to your obedience. There are souls waiting on the other side of your yes. There are lives that will never be changed if you stay hidden. And hear me clearly, your gift doesn't need to be the loudest in the room. It just needs to be surrendered. God can do more with your little surrendered in faith than with your abundance wrapped in fear. So dust off the dream, reignite the vision, pull your gift out of hiding and hand it back to God. Say, Lord, use me. I may be imperfect, I may be unsure, but I trust you. Because when you give him your gift, he gives it power. And what once felt small becomes unstoppable in the hands of the Almighty. When God calls you to something, he never asks you to do it in your own strength. He equips those he calls. But too often we disqualify ourselves before we even begin, thinking we don't have enough talent, resources, influence, or experience. That mindset isn't humility, it's unbelief. It's forgetting that the same God who spoke the universe into existence lives within you. The Bible tells us in Ephesians 3:20 that God is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think, according to the power that works in us. That means the power isn't just around you, it's in you. And yet so many believers live powerless lives because they don't believe they carry anything powerful. You've allowed the voice of fear to drown out the voice of God. You've let the failures of yesterday define your future instead of letting faith shape your destiny. But hear me, what God placed in you is not average, and it's not optional. It's necessary. If the enemy can't take your calling, he'll try to convince you it's not real. He'll try to make you believe you're not worthy, not capable, not ready. But you must understand, God does not call the qualified, he qualifies the called. Look at Moses. He had a speech problem, yet God called him to speak to Pharaoh. Look at David. He was overlooked, but God chose him to lead. Look at Esther. She was afraid, but God gave her the courage to save a nation. These weren't perfect people, they were willing people. And that's what God is looking for today, willing vessels. People who say, I may not feel ready, but I'm available. I may not see the whole picture, but I'll take the next step. I may be shaking, but I'll move in faith anyway. That's when power is activated, not in your comfort, but in your courage. Not in your certainty, but in your surrender. You have to stop measuring your potential by worldly standards. The world says you need a platform, a following, a degree. God says all you need is obedience. When he breathes on what's in your hands, it multiplies. When he speaks over your future, doors open that no man can shut. But you've got to walk it out. Power doesn't show up before the step. It shows up when your foot hits the water. Just like Peter walking on the sea. If you want to see the supernatural, you have to get uncomfortable. You have to trust that the same Spirit who raised Christ from the dead is living inside you, and that he didn't take up residence in your life just to sit in silence. He came to work through you, speak through you, love through you, and build through you. So stop shrinking back. Stop hiding behind, I'm not enough. You were never supposed to be enough without him. But with him, you're more than enough. So rise up, warrior. Take your place. The world needs what God put in you. Heaven is backing you. The power is already in you. It's time to believe it and act like it. When we talk about power, most people immediately think of strength, status, or influence. But one of the greatest powers you've been given as a believer is the power to endure. That may not sound flashy, but endurance is what separates those who finish the race from those who give up halfway through. The Bible says in Hebrews 10:36, you need to persevere so that when you have done the will of God, you will receive what he has promised. That means your ability to hold on when everything in you wants to let go is not weakness, it's power in motion. It's divine strength clothed in human resilience. And that kind of power doesn't come from motivational speeches or temporary height. It comes from a deep relationship with the one who sustains you through every storm. Endurance is what kept Jesus moving forward when the cross was in front of him. It's what kept Paul preaching after beatings, shipwrecks, and rejection. It's what has carried believers through persecution, loss, and long seasons of waiting. Too many people give up right before their breakthrough because they misunderstand the process. They think if God called them, the road should be easy, but the truth is, the call is proven in the difficulty. Endurance is the evidence that your faith isn't built on emotion, but on trust. And the enemy knows if he can wear you out, he can keep you from your destiny. So he doesn't always try to destroy you instantly. He tries to drain you daily. He uses delays, disappointments, and distractions to make you question whether it's worth continuing. But listen, if God started something in your life, he's not done. Philippians 1:6 says, he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion. That means your job is not to figure it all out. It's to stay faithful. Your job is not to fix every obstacle. It's to keep showing up even when you don't feel it. Because when you endure, you partner with heaven in a way that makes the enemy nervous. He doesn't fear your talent, he fears your consistency. And here's the truth. Endurance isn't passive. It's not sitting around hoping things change. It's choosing to believe when nothing makes sense. It's praying again when the answer hasn't come. It's speaking life when death is knocking at your door. It's worshiping while you wait, trusting while you tremble, and walking when you'd rather run away. That kind of power comes from knowing who you are and whose you are. When you endure, you become dangerous to the kingdom of darkness because you've made up your mind that quitting is not an option. You've decided that you will stand even if it costs you. And that decision alone will unlock blessings, miracles, and breakthroughs you can't even imagine. Endurance isn't about surviving. It's about proving that no weapon formed against you will prosper, because the power in you is greater than anything that comes against you. So don't back down. Don't slow up. Keep pressing. Keep praying. Keep moving. Your endurance is not in vain. Heaven is watching. Victory is near. And your story isn't over. It's just getting started. And let me tell you something right now. There is a giant inside of you that's been waiting to wake up. The enemy has tried to silence it with fear, with shame, with failure, and with doubt. But he messed up because he forgot one thing. You are a child of God, anointed, appointed, and assigned to walk in authority. The same spirit that raised Jesus from the grave lives in you. That means you're not powerless, you're powerful beyond measure. You're not broken, you're becoming. You're not behind, you're being prepared. This world may have underestimated you, but God hasn't. The enemy may have hoped you'd give up, but God is still writing your story. Don't let the voice of fear be louder than your faith. Don't let the opinions of people outrun the promises of God. You've been chosen for such a time as this. Your dreams, your gifts, your fight, it's all part of something bigger than you. So stand up, shake off the dust, and step into the calling that's been waiting on your courage. Don't underestimate your power, because heaven didn't. I pray this message stirred something in your spirit. If it did, don't just keep it to yourself. Live it out. Step boldly into your next season with faith and fire. Remember, your best days are ahead of you. Keep walking, keep believing, keep fighting. God is with you, and if God is for you, nothing can stand against you. Good luck, stay strong, and God bless you.